in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news. We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media. We also make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, yours and mine, and so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. This is a huge day from the Supreme Court of the United States. And what was fascinating, at least that as far as I can see so far, is that the specter of a decision regarding presidential immunity will very likely be announced tomorrow, but that was not announced today, the traditional day for the Supreme Court to issue their opinions. There is news on all this, and we're going to start with a look at what or how MSNBC has reported this, and we're in a position here where this is from MSNBC. As I said, we point out fact and bias. MSNBC is the most biased mainstream media outlet that I've ever seen. Now, yeah, that's my opinion. And there are a lot of people that watch MSNBC, and I believe that they're being led astray by what is advocacy journalism. And this report comes from MSNBC, so I'm not especially thinking that any of this is going to be any less than what they've normally done, which is to provide propagandist cover for a leftist initiative. But we do have it, and so we are going to show it to you here on the Wells Report. And it starts probably in the middle. I haven't been able to take a look at this, but let's discover it together here on the Wells Report.
Your reaction to what the Supreme Court did not decide today and what they did.
So let's just start with the Snyder decision, the one that you're reading, the dissent from that Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote. It is something I really commend everyone to read. It's written in plain English, and she takes the majority to task. And I had the exact same reaction that she was speaking about the Supreme Court itself, both to Justices Thomas and Alito in terms of the money that they have taken as public officials, but also to them in terms of saying, you say you're originalists when it's convenient. That's this idea that we're just going to only look at the text. And she says, okay, let's look at the text. The text is a congressional statute that says it's illegal to pay bribes and to receive bribes and to get rewards. And she says, that's it. We're done. I thought you were a textualist. So that's why she says only this Supreme Court. This is supposed to be just interpreting congressional language. It is not a policy debate in the Supreme Court. And she calls them out saying, you are having a policy debate and you lose even on the policy debate. I mean, who on God's green earth thinks it's fine to take a reward? As long as you take the money afterwards, it's fine. Just don't take it before. But that's now the law. Based on this Supreme Court. And then obviously the court did not issue its immunity decision. I'm going to quote Paula Poundstone, who said, I can't wait to find out from the Supreme Court whether a president can kill someone. I mean, it's just so absurd that this was not decided 6 months ago when Jack Smith asked the Supreme Court to rule. So this is one where the decision is the delay. Yes, we will get a decision, but the decision's actually the fact that it is taken this long because Jack Smith is going to have one heck of a time trying to get this to trial before the election.
All right, so there you see what I talk about when it comes to MSNBC. On a day where big decisions are being made, what's happening is that they're discussing basically one justice calling to task with what she calls bribes and what she calls influence peddling and so on and so on. And that is scurrilous, in my view. She has her opinion, I have mine. And since we're both Americans and apparently no one is above the law, not even Supreme Court justices, I feel that I can certainly say that what I just heard as reported through MSNBC, which is painfully biased, and you just saw it for yourself. They're talking about the Supreme Court eating itself and playing into the leftist narrative that somehow these justices are unethical, and that damages the court. And I can't believe she doesn't know it, and I can't believe that she's taking that tack. But that's the way it goes. I mean, you get what you get when you appoint politicians as opposed to justices. So let me move on with what we have here. This from NBC News, not MSNBC, but the actual news organization. The Supreme Court blew up the massive bankruptcy or reorganization of opioid maker Purdue Pharma, finding the settlement inappropriately included legal protections for the Sackler family, meaning that billions of dollars secured for victims is now threatened. The court, on a 5-4 decision on non-ideological lines, ruled the bankruptcy court did not have the authority to release the Sackler family members from legal claims made by opioid victims. As part of the deal, the family, which controlled the company, had agreed to pay $6 billion that could be used to settle opioid-related claims, but only in return for a complete release from any liability in future cases. Justice Neil Gorsuch, writing for the majority, said the Sacklers could have declared bankruptcy, but instead sought to piggyback on the company's own bankruptcy proceedings in an effort to resolve pending legal claims. Quote, they obtained all this without securing the consent of those affected or placing anything approaching their total assets on the table for their creditors. He continued to say, nothing in present law authorizes Sackler discharge, he said. Justice Brett Kavanaugh dissented, citing the impact of the decision on those who would benefit from the settlement. Today's decision is wrong on the law and devastating to more than 100,000 opioid victims and their families. As a result of this ruling, opioid victims are now deprived of the substantial monetary recovery they had long fought for and finally secured after years of litigation. The ruling means settlement talks would have to begin again, with the possibility of no deal being reached. That, by the way, is somewhat hyperbolic, sort of like what we just saw in this painfully biased MSNBC report saying Paula Poundstone, wonders if whether or not the president with this immunity ruling can kill someone. Okay, do you really want to go there? Considering how many people got killed in Benghazi and how many people got killed in Afghanistan, do you really want to go there? It's not like the presidents in the past haven't killed people with political policy. It's happened time and time again. It has left marks on not just the U.S. military, but on the people of the United States and certainly the families of lost soldiers. We don't want to go there. No, the President of the United States is not immune from killing someone and never will be. But presidents kill people all the time. This, by the way, not to mention the 200,000, this is a year-old number, 200,000 plus Americans that have died of fentanyl poisoning, fentanyl coming across the southern border based on wide open border policies from the Biden administration. Is he going to have immunity from the law on that? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. So all these people that are coming up with this hyperbolic garbage, and it naturally comes from MSNBC, are misleading the public. It was amazing. I didn't see that report before I presented it to you. But I told you that MSNBC would mislead the American people. And by golly, they did. It's amazing. It's just amazing to me. And by the way, yeah, this is going to reopen these settlement discussions. Purdue Pharma, the Sackler family, will not escape financial liability. Is it a possibility? Sure. Sure it is. But it's not real. The Sackler family wants this to go away. Purdue Pharma wants to reorganize. It wants to look at its mistakes and correct them for the future and still have a company at the end of the day. That's what they want to do. They know for an absolute fact that they are liable. They also know that the people of the United States are already suspect of big pharma corporations and the wrangling they do to protect themselves from liability. You know, keep in mind the COVID vaccines. You know, whether people are dying, just dropping dead because of COVID vaccines or not, the idea of the fact that there was something in all that legislation that brought about Operation Warp Speed, that legislation did protect pharmaceutical companies from bad mistakes, which should have never been the case. Ever. And by the way, Operation Warp Speed started during the Trump administration. We need to keep all of this in mind. This is why pharmaceutical companies have major, major problems. And they should. They absolutely should. Drugs have to be therapeutic. They have to be safe. We have all kinds of checks and balances involved in that. Of course, when deep state wrangling of politics goes with wrangling from the pharmaceutical companies to save themselves liability money, well, then there's a problem. And that problem is written in blood. And it will be paid for. But having these people say, my God, this whole thing has to go back up into the air and the negotiation has to start over again, these people could end up without a dime, is idiotic. Just plain idiotic. It's horrendous. So let's take a look further at this. During oral arguments in December, a lawyer representing some of the victims told the justices there was no viable path to victims receiving compensation if the deal, including the Sackler family, was not upheld. The case drew further attention to the lingering effects of the opioid crisis and the role that Sackler-owned Purdue played in creating it. As part of the proposed deal, the Supreme Court put on hold last year when it took up the case. The Sackler family agreed to pay around $6 billion that could be used to settle opioid-related claims, but only in return for complete release from any liability in future cases. That, by the way, is not outstanding, or not outlandish, or crazy, or nuts. It is common practice that when a corporation or anyone pays a settlement, there are non-disclosure agreements and there are releases from liability moving forward. And so that is not something that disturbs me. What disturbs me is the fact that the reporting is inaccurate. That's what disturbs me. And that's why you watch this broadcast. Purdue made billions of dollars from OxyContin, a widely available painkiller that fueled the opioid epidemic. The company's tactics in aggressively marketing the drug came under increased scrutiny as thousands of people died from opioid overdoses. As the company fortunes nosedived, it sought bankruptcy protection. The Sackler family did not. Instead, they negotiated a separate deal with Purdue and plaintiffs in pending lawsuits that would allow the company to reinvent itself to address the opioid crisis. The New York-based Second U.S. Court of Appeals last year approved the plan over the objection of William Harrington, the U.S. government trustee monitoring the bankruptcy. The Justice Department's trustee program is aimed at ensuring the bankruptcy system operates as required by law. What is missing from today's decisions? Presidential immunity. Presidential immunity is missing. And that is a very, very big deal. What do you think? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. That's our telephone number. You can get us on the chat room. We've got some people that are already commenting on this, and we'll get to them as we continue on this broadcast. Today is Thursday, June 27th, year of our Lord, 2024. And oh yeah, there's a presidential debate tonight. Have you heard about it? Well, it's been in all the papers, and we'll be discussing it coming up on the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning. John David Wells at your service. Got some sad news. Just came across the wires. We just got it from the Texas Tribune. Richard Kinky Friedman has died. Kinky Friedman, longtime friend of the Wells Report, no longer with us. The provocative and flamboyant Texas satirist who mounted a spirited campaign for governor in 2006 has died. He was 79. He died at his longtime home at Echo Hills Ranch in Medina, his friend Cleve Hattersley said in an interview. And Kent Perkins said also on social media he had Parkinson's. He ran for governor against Republican incumbent Rick Perry in 2006, despite a colorful campaign and heavy media attention, which indeed included the Wells Report. Friedman finished fourth in the race. He also said, "If I lose this election, I'm going to stomp off in a petulant snit." It was hysterical. This guy was just incredibly good. He also ran unsuccessfully for the Democrat nomination for Agriculture Commissioner in 2010 and 2014. He was known for his outside persona, pithy one-liners, signature look, curly hair poking out from beneath a black cowboy hat with a cigar in hand. I remember one of the first times I ever interviewed him. We were sitting there in the studio, and I said, "Mr. Friedman, you can't smoke your cigar in the studio." And he goes, "Yeah," and he lit it right up. What are you going to do? He was a communicator, an unusual but very pointed and poignant communicator, said Hattersley. He could bring you to tears on stage. He could make you roll on the floor in laughter. He gained a reputation as a provocateur in the early 1970s. He formed a satirical country band, Kinky Friedman and the Texas Jew Boys, which penned such American music classics as "They Ain't Making Jews Like Jesus Anymore," "Get Your Biscuits in the Oven and Your Buns in Bed." Later, he published novels that often featured a fictionalized version of himself, including Elvis, Jesus, and Coca-Cola, and Armadillos and Old Lace. In politics, he staked out unusual positions at the time for someone seeking statewide office in Texas, like legalization of marijuana and casino gambling. He supported same-sex marriage beginning in 2006. This was long before the Supreme Court legalized it nationally, and he said this: "I support gay marriage." He said this on our broadcast. "I support gay marriage because I believe they have the right to be just as miserable as the rest of us." Hattersley said Friedman's irreverence gave voice to more ideas. Right now, we're in kind of a time in society where word usage is being suppressed and language is being codified almost to the point of hieroglyphics, and so much is being left out. Kinky never left anything out. You may not have been a fan of Kinky Friedman. His humor, like many other brilliant comedians that I truly enjoy, was an acquired taste. But you could never, ever mistake the sage wisdom behind those lines and what he said he meant. He was an iconoclast. He was one of a kind. And what he brought to the Wells Report, I'll never forget it. I never will. He was someone who was always very kind to me. He gave me some of his signature cigars. I didn't smoke them because, one, I really don't know how to smoke a cigar properly. I've only had one in my entire life that was actually good. And I felt that those cigars, which are in my refrigerator to this very day, were more important as a memento of Kinky Friedman than it would be to reduce them to ashes for the sake of unappreciated ability to enjoy them. Kinky Friedman is dead at 79. We are going to miss this Texas legend. There's no doubt about it. Boy, I'm sorry to let you know that all that happened. Yeah, like I said, we're going to miss Kinky Friedman. And we're going to miss that iconoclastic, plain-speaking, brilliant humor that always made you laugh and think at the same time. See ya, Kinky. God bless you and your family. This is the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning. John David Wells at your service. The Supreme Court did some other things today we need to discuss, but first, let's spend a little bit of time on the chat room. Yvonne Field. Wow, I haven't heard the name Kinky Friedman in years. R.I.P. Kinky. Thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate that. Back to the opioid victim situation. There are some interesting opinions here. Opioid victims, seriously? They're victims. Yeah. When you put out a drug that provides people with amazing pain relief and addicts them to it, that is not safe and therapeutic. It is hooking Americans on opioids. And yeah, they are victims in a lot of cases, Brad. Let's see. You want a political policy that has killed people? How about the number of illegal migrants that have been kill trying to cross the border or just trying to get to the border. Whether it's coyotes bringing them here, the harsh conditions they're walking through, or whatever. Yeah, that policy has killed a lot of people. Should the people responsible for it be tried? You wonder. And that doesn't ever account for the deaths of Americans at the hands of actual criminals that have come here illegally. Yeah. 250,000 people. That's a guess. 250,000 people dead because of Biden policies. You know, we're going to start talking about whether or not the president can kill people based on this presidential immunity ruling, which is ridiculous on its face, which is why MSNBC reported it that way. Then yeah, you got that. It's a mess. Just a mess. You know, I've said this for a long time. Not every benevolent, generous policy, not every liberal policy. Liberalism is different now than it was when they first came up with the term. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. But, you know, all of this, all those ideas are not terrible. It's all the garbage that comes with all those ideas. It's the inability to think of unintended consequence. These people can't see past the end of their nose. All they see is government handouts. And now we're in a position, and I wanted to bring this up, so I'll go ahead and do that. It's going to be coming up next hour. We've got complete coverage of tonight's debate. Hopefully we'll be able to run it, but I have to hornswoggle Dirk Steele into doing it. So what I'm hoping is that Dirk will run this in my stead on the Wells Report. Cross your fingies. Otherwise, then we'll just have to report it tomorrow as a part of the because I'm working. I've got a day job now. So we're going to be talking about this. But when we were talking about presidential immunity, and we're talking about all of these deaths and so on, you know, we have to realize that there will be people that will die in service of their country. But that doesn't include Americans walking down the street. There is negligence. It should be remedied through suing City Hall, the biggest city hall. And I hope that indeed happens. I'm not sure that it will, but I sure hope so. We've been talking a little bit about how the Supreme Court of the United States has finally noticed that executive branch agencies are laws unto themselves. The EPA got smacked down. It's now the turn of the Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC, to get their spanking in front of the entire nation. Today, the Supreme Court rejected one of the primary ways the Security and Exchange Commission enforces law against securities fraud. The agencies, like other regulators, bring some enforcement actions in internal tribunals rather than in federal courts. The SEC's practice, Chief Justice John G. Roberts wrote for a 6-justice majority in a decision divided along politically ideological lines, violated the right to a jury trial. The Chief Justice said, quote, "A defendant facing a fraud suit has the right to be tried by a jury of his peers before a neutral adjudicator," unquote. The case is one of several challenges this term to the power of administrative agencies, long a target of conservative legal movements. The court last month rejected a challenge to the constitutionality of the way the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is funded. In January, it heard arguments in a pair of challenges to the Chevron doctrine, a foundational principle of administrative law that requires judicial deference to agencies' responsible interpretation of ambiguous statutes. That case has not yet been decided. By the way, while we're talking about all this, let's go back through this. This is from the New York Times. It's biased. And so a case is one of several challenges to the power of administrative agencies, long a target of the conservative legal movement. These people, these agencies, are not law enforcement agencies. There's one federal law enforcement agency, only one, and that's the FBI. The FBI should absorb the DEA, the ATF, and all those other agencies that think they're cops. There's only one set of federal cops in the United States of America, and that's the FBI. And the FBI should be responsible for the enforcement of all these rules. Regulations from executive branch agencies are not law. Every single one of those regulations every single one needs to be voted on by the Congress of the United States under the concept of the best government is one where the people that live under the rules of those governments create those rules and approve them themselves. And so now we have a situation where, well, the Chevron principle or the Chevron doctrine is a foundational principle of administrative law that requires judicial deference to agencies' reasonable interpretations of ambiguous statutes. There shouldn't be any ambiguous statutes. We saw this during the Obama administration. The Obama administration, specifically Obamacare, was written in such arcane fashion and kept under wraps by an administration that wanted to put out an incomprehensible law that could thus be interpreted through the process of executive order. In other words, turning the President of the United States into a one-man legislature to be able to fashion the law based on whatever whim or fancy that passed through his mind that day. And the guy who wrote the law admitted it. Yeah, it was written that way so that nobody would understand it. And it's still the law of the land today. Yeah, there's a lot of work to do. Plain language law probably ought to be some of it. And making sure that regulatory agencies of the executive branch of the United States government have no enforcement capability. They have to go before the DOJ and the FBI. They have to go before that to get those regulations enforced after they have been actually approved as law by the Congress of the United States, Senate, and President. We want these people on the record for all these laws. We don't want people just being victimized by the SEC or any of the EPA or anybody else that says you cannot build a pond on your own land because the ditch that runs right through the middle of it is some sort of national waterway. For what? Somebody's, this is I was about to show my age, the newspaper boats that you used to be able to fashion out of an old newspaper. Not that anybody reads newspapers anymore. And I guarantee you, little kids, that if you happen to fold up your dad or mother's computer and float it down some creek somewhere, you're going to get a spanking. Just saying. But that being said, this is a good move. And to throw this along ideological lines, as is reported by the New York Times, and to say that it's long been a target of the conservative legal movement, that's scurrilous language. It's not conservative legal movement. It is the American legal movement. This is the way we do business. Nowhere in the Constitution of the United States does the agency EPA, FEC, SEC, any of those actually occur. Now, to bring reasonableness into it, the FBI isn't mentioned either. It's not. But do we need the FBI? You bet. So that's why I say that I'm a reasonable constructionist. I am a reasonable constructionist. And while Ketanji Brown Jackson does go off on tangents and so on, certainly degrading her own court, which was irresponsible and foolish, she does have a point. If you are a textualist, if you are someone who reads the Constitution literally, then you should read the Constitution literally. Any changes to the Constitution should be done so in the form of a constitutional amendment that requires a very high legislative burden, and then 2/3 of the states have to agree. And so reasonable construction is the way forward. And yeah, I would like to see, if we're going to live under these laws, then they had better be laws instead of executive branch agency regulations. Let's see what else is going on here. I'm kind of in a position here where the actual timeline of the broadcast, usually put together with spit and polish in a brilliant fashion, has sort of been thrown off here, but I'm going to start going through some of this news. And there are a couple of interesting polls regarding the Supreme Court of the United States. The first one this morning from The Hill. Most Americans in a new survey say they believe Supreme Court justices are more likely to be led by ideology instead of impartiality. The Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research survey found 70% of respondents say they believe the high court justices are currently, quote, more like trying to shape the law to fit their own ideologies, unquote. Well, that's a leading question. Once again, we point out fact and bias. However, it's still significant. 28% say the justices are more likely to provide independent checks on the other branches of government in a fair or impartial way. Again, these are leading questions. The court has recently ruled on several hot button issues, including online misinformation and gun rights. Several justices have also faced scrutiny and calls to adopt an official ethics code over the acceptance of lavish gifts and other issues, including reports about controversial flags being flown at Justice Samuel Alito's residences that have been linked to the January 6th, 2021 attack on the Capitol. You know what? If the 2024 election proves to be a political disaster for the American left, they've earned it. They have earned it. There have been several flags that have flown over the United States of America. They are all flags of the United States of America. In this country, we are able to fly those flags as we see fit, upside down if we choose to. And to have these leftist crazy people start crapping all over Samuel Alito's wife for flying the flags improperly and flying the most improper flags, but yet remain silent when someone goes out into a public square and burns an American flag, that's the kind of hypocrisy that is going to take the left political movement in this country down. They can't do that. They simply cannot be that hyperbolically, hysterically hypocritical. They have to stop it. I've long said that all you have to do if you disagree with leftist policy, all you have to do is just wait a few minutes, because sooner or later, it's going to come around and eat itself. And that's the situation. Perfect example of the flag. The flag we're talking about at Alito's house, the one with the beautiful hemlock tree or pine tree on it. It's an absolutely gorgeous flag. And it evokes God. And so on. They say, my God, that's a January 6th symbol. Yeah. It's also an American Revolutionary War symbol. You choose your outrage very carefully, don't you? And yeah, until you start talking about burning American flags, this is where it just circles around and eats itself. Until you start turning American flags into something that's more than just an article for free speech to be burned in the town square, then you don't get to talk about any other flags. Any other flags. It's ridiculous. There's other polling information. This from Fox News. A new poll shows that 70% of Americans believe court justices are more likely to shape the law to fit their ideology. They reference the same one. Hold on. That's why. Okay. So I just, that's the Fox News version of that story from The Hill. Let me, yeah. Oh, here we go. This one from Fox News. The Associated Press NORC poll found further that less than a third of Americans believe that the nation's highest court is more likely to provide an independent check on other balances in a fair and impartial trial. Let's see the poll. The poll comes as the court is poised to release rulings in high-profile cases relating to former President Trump and the January 6th Capitol riot. Roughly 4 in 10 American adults say they have hardly any confidence in the people running the Supreme Court. Once again, this is a self-inflicted wound. And when we start talking about this, we are talking about the American left trying to disrupt, destroy, degrade the standing of the Supreme Court in the minds of Americans. Why? Because of this presidential immunity ruling. Why? Because if the Supreme Court of the United States rules that there is presidential immunity, all of their trumped up, pardon the pun, trumped up political cases go flying out the window. And then what do they have to fight with? They don't have much to fight with, do they? I mean, look at their record. This is the Wells Report. Back with more coming up in just a moment.
Vallarta.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells with you on this 27th day of June. It's Thursday, year of our Lord, 2024. And so, there are some things flying around the chat room. Very, very good. Disband all the alphabet agencies, says Ann Hoy Guzman. And then she points out this. Has anybody else noticed the similarities between the Wall Street journalist and the Wall Street Journal journalist and the New York City Trump case? She's got a point. I'm looking at ABC News right this minute. The trial of Evan Gershkovich, an American journalist charged with espionage in Russia, began yesterday behind closed doors, as U.S. officials accuse the Kremlin of using the case to, quote, achieve its political objectives, unquote. Ann Hoy Guzman is brilliant as always, pointing that out. Nice job. The case, by the way, against the journalist has widely been denounced by U.S. officials and press freedom advocates, along with Gershkovich's paper's editors and publishers. That's the Wall Street Journal. Emma Tucker is the journal's editor-in-chief, writing in an open letter published Tuesday of this week. Quote, when his case comes before a judge this week, it will not be a trial as we understand it, with a presumption of innocence and a search for truth. She went on to say that it will be something completely different. It will be a show trial that will not result in guilt or innocence except in the political sense. And again, Ann Hoy Guzman putting her finger right on the button. Gershkovich, by the way, was arrested in March of 2023 while reporting on the Sverdlovsk region, where Russian officials claimed he was collecting secrets on the production and repair of military equipment for the CIA. The indictment against Gershkovich was approved by prosecutors earlier this month, sending the case to the regional trial that is hearing it, and that started, as we said yesterday. That's the Sverdlovsk regional court in Yekaterinburg. That's a city hundreds of miles from Moscow. And so what's going to happen with that? Well, we really don't know. And so as we come to this particular section of the Wells Report talking about those flags, yeah, burning the American flag is okay. But, they arrested people that were doing burnouts on rainbow flags painted on the street, don't you? Yeah, rainbow flags, Hamas flags, ISIS flags, they're okay. But fly a flag upside down in front of your own house on your own property, that's not okay. That's just plain un-American. Absolutely un-American. And that people would then pick a particular flag and say, "My God, it's a symbol of January 6th." Yeah, that's not the case. Hang on a second here. Let me get this for you here. Let's see. The appeal to heaven flag is what they're talking about. An appeal to heaven flag. It's a beautiful flag. I like it. I had forgotten about it. I knew about all the flags of the United States, but somehow that one slipped my memory until they brought it up. So you can proudly fly in front of a courthouse somewhere, a Hamas flag, which is also known as the Palestinian flag, by people that refuse to believe that Hamas actually exists. But you can fly a Hamas flag in front of your congressional office. But you can't fly an appeal to heaven flag, can you? Yeah. This is why there is an awful lot of what I consider to be vigilant ignoring of, shall we say, leftist savant politicians. These people keep throwing shiny objects out at us, and we keep chasing them with the purpose of division in mind. Division, man against woman, black against white, against Asian, against blah, 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 blah. E pluribus unum, of many, one. That is what is the guiding principle regarding the United States of America. And that's something that gives me pride. It's fascinating. I have a security job. And on that security job, I come in contact with the public. The other day, as a matter of fact, it was yesterday, I walked up to a man who was African American. I said, "How you doing?" He goes, "Fine." I said, "Good. You feeling okay?" "Yeah." And I said, "Good." He asked me how I was doing. I said, "Thanks. Fine. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking." Then I started to walk away, and he said, "You're the first one." "What?" "You're the first one that respected me as a man on this piece of property." And he talked about how he had been disrespected and what he considered it to be for the color of his skin. I looked at him and I said, "I just don't have that. It's not inside here. I don't get it. I never have." But there are things in this nation that have been not just perpetrated on others based on physical attributes, which is a crime against humanity, but they've been exploited for the purposes of political division. This is something that we had pretty much snuffed out in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, but somehow came back immediately upon the election of a triumphant election where the people of the United States elected a black man to be the president. And racism has reared its ugly head ever since. Exploitation of the people for political effect. And I'm tired of being accused of it. I'm tired of being lambasted for it. How about you? The Wells Report in progress. Coming up, you're not going to believe this, but there's a presidential debate tonight. I know, you're sitting there going, "Oh, is that tonight? Yeah, do I care about that debate?" You'd be surprised. A lot of people really don't care about that debate, at least according to polling. We'll have that for you coming up in just a couple of seconds. Like I said, it's Thursday, the longest workday of the year. For those people who are TGIF fans, sure happy it's Thursday. And we'll be back with more of the Wells Report in just a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, you get the news reported honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do indeed depropagandize the mainstream media. We make commentary. Commentary is not news. We differentiate between news and opinion on this broadcast. Indeed, I have different camera angles to not just communicate opinion on, but to actually have a visual cue for you to understand that when I'm talking to you here, I'm opining. When I talk to you here, this is the news. So there you have it. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. It is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for joining us. I sincerely appreciate it. By the way, when I say join us, by all means, join us on the telephone, 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Join us on the chat room at a social media platform near you. Well, today is the day. It's being called must cringe television. A lot of people are very concerned about this debate tonight. It's high stakes. And yeah, I'm worried about the President of the United States. Not so much the former President of the United States, but certainly the President of the United States, who I believe is a victim of elder abuse. This person, this man, is going to show up tonight, standing for 90 minutes, and he very likely will be on performance-enhancing drugs. Not the first time that's happened, but it's the first time it's happened at this level. What Joe Biden will we get? For that matter, what Donald Trump will we get? Will we get the firebrand interrupting obnoxious guy that tries to run over his opponents? Or will we get the thoughtful guy that realizes the best way to win this debate is just keep Joe talking? Just keep asking him questions. And then when he can't, simply turn to the American people and start talking about the next 4 years. Treat him as if he's not there. Because there are an awful lot of people that believe, at least medically, he isn't there. It's going to be very hard to work the puppetry, that is the day-to-day operations of the administration, in the hands of someone else, certainly not Joe Biden. It's very difficult to do that when you're standing there on a debate. But, you know, there is more to this from a media standpoint. There will be biased reporters as moderators. Moderators? Or will they be President Biden acolytes, saving him from himself and trying to discourage Donald Trump from making any kind of reasonable or salient point? Once again, it'll be on display for everyone to see. In something of an ecumenical, brilliant move by CNN, they have offered this debate to everybody. They are covering the debate, but ABC News will do a simulcast. Fox News will do a simulcast. If everything works, because I'm going to be at work on my day job, the Wells Report will be a part of this simulcast. Cross your fingers. All I can say is this, that this debate is going to involve a couple of men that represent radically different political ideologies. One is a traditional, half a century old man who has lorded over Washington, D.C. and made a very good living, having been sent back by his fellow citizens in Delaware over and over and over again. He found himself rising to the vice presidency, then the presidency. And so he's going to be there. But the mileage is showing. And those are city miles. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is a guy who represents a populist idea that the American government should work for the people of the United States. The people of the United States should not work for the federal government. In that, I agree. But that isn't based on my supposed support for Donald Trump. It is based solely on my sole support for the United States of America and the way it's supposed to be. Does that align? Does it resonate with Donald Trump's speeches? Yes. Have I decided to vote for Donald Trump? No. It's too early. Do I report the news fairly? Yes, I do. Does that mean pointing out when the left is trying to besmirch Donald Trump and essentially drive him out of the 2024 presidential race? Yes. Is that support for the president? No. It's support for the process. It's support for the people having their choice, as opposed to the news media making it for them, or the courts, or prosecutors, or the DOJ. No. The people will decide this decision. They will decide this race. And all these other people, they're just making noise. And it's damaging the nation. So it's cringeworthy, according to USA Today. That's the biggest takeaway from USA Today's network interviews with a series of swing state voters from around the country who are bracing for little new information on tonight's first presidential debate of 2024, but still say they want to see how the two oldest major party candidates for the American presidency stack up. Tonight's debate, occurring far earlier in the election season than normal and with different debate rules, is one of the few opportunities the public will have before Election Day to view the candidates side by side for an extended period of time, 90 minutes. Voters will be able to judge for themselves not just their political positions, but each man's vitality and mental acuity. Again, this is USA Today. Presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump, who turned 78 earlier this year, and President Joe Biden, an 81-year-old Democrat, will be standing in an otherwise empty room at CNN studios in Atlanta, interrogated by two CNN anchors, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, known to be anti-Trump news reporters, propagandists, if you will. There can be no more appropriate name for a moderator than Dana Bash. And that's probably what we're going to see her do. Bash Donald Trump. We'll see. The microphones, by the way, will be muted unless it's their turn to speak, which I can't help but point out in some sarcastic fashion, which is exactly what New York Judge Juan Merchan has been doing with Donald Trump, muting his microphone in the middle of an election year when he is the presumptive Republican nominee for president. Sentencing is coming up next month. What's he going to do with that? Oh, by the way, he partially lifted the gag order. Partially lifted the gag order. What does that mean? That Donald Trump can only talk about some things having to do with his trial? Is that what that means? Is that what that means? Or is this, we're going to be able to put this ambiguous thing out there saying what the president can talk about, what the president can't talk about, and watch very carefully to make sure that he doesn't step over that line. That is not America. You cannot do that. It is ridiculous. And is this judge going to send President Donald Trump to jail? What do you think would happen in this nation if that was the case? 817-379-2172. We got to have that conversation. What do you believe will happen if in the middle of a presidential campaign, Juan Merchan sends President Donald Trump to jail? What do you think is going to happen? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. So the microphone's going to be muted and they're talking about age. What about issues? Well, that's not what's in this USA Today article, at least so far. They're talking about presidential ages. Well, what are the issues? For Donald Trump, the economy, inflation, same thing. Talking about the southern border, other things. For Joe Biden, his main issue is that President Trump is a bad guy, a convicted felon. Well, that really doesn't have anything to do with where the country needs to go, does it? Oh, well, he's not good enough to be able to sit in this office. Really? You're casting aspersions on the law-abiding virtues of Donald Trump? That's a glass house, Mr. President. That's a glass house. Especially when prosecutors get a hold of President Trump or President Biden after his term. When they get finished with President Biden after his term, we'll have a tattered president or two, and moreover, and more important, a tattered presidency to go with it. Biden and Trump are competing for a minuscule portion of the electorate, people who have not made their mind up about two people who have served as back-to-back presidents and have been in the public eye for decades. For the candidates, it's a rematch of their disastrous first debate in 2020, which was marked by bitterness, anger, as the candidates constantly spoke over one another during the national lockdown for the COVID-19 pandemic. Even Thursday night's moderators called that debate a hot mess. Well, it's true. It was a hot mess. It was a food fight. It was ridiculous. Cringeworthy or not, the debate is expected to be among the most watched television events of the year. In 2020, the first debate between Biden and Trump drew 73.1 million viewers. This being 2024, those who miss it will have ample opportunity to find clips on their smartphones, social media, and cable news for weeks. I hope, by the way, one of those snippets is not President Biden collapsing on stage. I sincerely hope that's the case. Because he's obviously on medication of some kind. It's obviously temporary. And it obviously does push an old man's systems beyond their normal range. And that's dangerous. I really hope President Biden doesn't die. These people. So, voters from 5 of the primary swing states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, said in interviews leading up to the debate they want to hear Trump and Biden talk about concrete policy on housing, immigration, LGBTQ, and infrastructure. Concrete policies on LGBTQ issues? Is that something that Americans truly care about? They also don't expect enough depth in the exchanges to help pick a president. I don't think it's so much as making up my mind. It's more if I can fit it into my schedule when it comes by while I'm channel surfing. That's Brooke Hoke from the Milwaukee area. I'm ready for it to be over. In Atlanta, Stacey Wallace, a 49-year-old business analyst, says he plans to watch the debate, likely at home with a beer. He views the debate as a way of staying informed, but doesn't feel much excitement about the Biden and Trump face-off. To be perfectly honest, I think it's going to be an S-word show, but it's probably going to be entertaining. The entertainment factor is a key part of why he's watching. Wallace said he found the 2020 debates cringy, doesn't expect this year's debate to have much sway over the decision he's already made. Gerard Gilbo of Michigan said he will reluctantly watch the debate, not because I expect to learn anything new about the position of the candidates, but mostly because I think it will be like a train wreck or an auto accident that you just can't turn away from. It's going to be so infuriating. I can't stand to watch Donald Trump on television or anywhere. There's nothing either of them are going to say that's going to change my mind at this point. Yeah, well, you might want to wait before you confirm that statement to the press later. Phoenix resident Alex Brown said he's ready to make up his mind, does not plan to watch the debate. I don't really want to watch two old guys going at it. RJ Danforth, the 19-year-old Scottsdale, Arizona resident, said he wishes there were different younger candidates on stage. He said he expects to vote for Biden. This is a biased news article. I'm probably going to have it on background, so I'll pay attention, but in the corner of my mind. Yeah. It's not the way you choose a president. That's not the way you do it. That's a mistake. But what do we need to know about that debate? USA Today has written another article about that. I think the debate is 8 p.m., so 7 p.m. Central Time. I believe it's at 9, Brad. I'll double-check that for you. As a matter of fact, I'll have it for you coming up in just a couple of moments as we continue the Wells Report. So, join us as we continue to talk the 2024 presidential debate. With cringes come furrows. Will we mark our faces after this one's over?
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. As I told you yesterday, there are indeed bombs being thrown back and forth between the candidates. And those are incredibly difficult to watch. And there was another one thrown today. Or will be thrown during the debates, which is today. So yeah, it will be a circumstance where these bombs are being thrown, and this is in the form of a commercial against against Joe Biden, and that is a commercial regarding the president's actual, what they say, true racial history in the United States. It's from Hellfire Pack, and here it is you can see it for yourself. And I didn't do that right, but I can do it right, and I'm going to do it right now.
This is Joe Biden's real record on race.
Do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America?
There's not a racist bone in my body. I've been involved in civil rights my whole career.
Biden claims he's a champion for civil rights, but his record would suggest otherwise.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Biden recalling his early Senate career, bringing up two segregationist senators, Herman Talmadge and James Eastland, who called African Americans an inferior race.
This is Joe Biden talking about Barack Obama.
You got the first sort of mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean, nice-looking guy.
You don't know my state. My state was a slave state.
After 50 years of racist statements and racist policies, Black Americans deserve better than Joe Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Hellfire PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
He said all those things, and you want to talk about cringeworthiness? Well, there you go. There you go. There will be anti-Trump ads. When we find them, we will play them for you. But I think they're keeping their powder dry at this particular moment. They've said that he's a convicted felon. We're going to be hearing that for the rest of the presidential election season. But it all starts tonight. Couple of questions. What would you like the moderators to ask President Biden and President Trump? What are the questions they should answer? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Let me give you a couple of others. What do you want President Trump to actually say? What do you want President Biden to actually say? 817-379-2172. Do you expect the moderators from CNN, who are decidedly anti-Trump and have reported as much, do you expect them to be fair and balanced? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Who do you think will win this debate tonight? Will it be President Biden or will it be President Trump? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Americans will say that they expect a stronger debate performance from President Trump. This comes from the New York Times. I'll be talking about that coming up in just a little bit. Also, there are other polling information. There are other polls that are out regarding what the people think about President Trump and what the people think about President Biden. And a pollster has bad news for President Biden with regards to who he believes is going to win in 2024. We'll have that for you coming up here on the Wells Report. Again, our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. If you find value in this broadcast, subscribe to it. Send it to your friends. Ask them to subscribe. Like the notification button and give us those thumbs ups. I have some interesting news, by the way, I got just before I went on the air today, which really made me feel pretty good, and I'll explain when we return here on the Wells Report. Again, our telephone number, 817-379-2172. What do you want to hear in tonight's presidential debate on the Wells Report?
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. I want to take a look at the chat room here. Let's see. Okay, nobody's really... Okay, Alicia Delosier expects lies, not answers. Yeah, maybe. When is the debate going to be on? I'm so glad you asked. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Time. 9 p.m. Eastern Time is when the debate will be on. It'll be simulcast everywhere. There is New York Times Siena polling out there. Expectations are higher for former President Donald J. Trump than for President Biden in tonight's presidential debate, according to a new poll by the New York Times and Siena College. The national survey conducted in the days before the debate found that 60% of registered voters thought that Mr. Trump would perform very or somewhat well in the matchup. Only 46% said that about Biden. Overall, nearly half of the voters anticipated a poor showing for Mr. Biden, signaling that the president enters the televised event facing widespread skepticism and scrutiny over his ability to demonstrate his fitness for office. The debate will be the first time the two men will share a stage since October of 2020 as they participated in the final debate of that year's presidential race. It will be the earliest presidential debate in the nation's history, occurring at the start of the summer rather than the fall. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Wells Report. Who's this?
Hey, it's Brad.
Hey, Brad. Thanks for calling, man. How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm doing all right.
What do you expect? What do you expect out of the debate tonight?
I have limited expectations because, number one, you can't even call it a debate because, I mean, there's no debate. I mean, it's going to be Q&A back and forth. And the second thing is they're going to ask questions and they're immediately going to answer some other topic.
Well, that's the way. That's the way. Yeah, because the questions that would be asked in a fair debate really don't have answers. You know, you really can't ask President Trump about his felony convictions, et cetera, insofar as he's got this partial gag order, whatever that is. So you can't answer those questions. So you do have to pivot to other subjects. President Biden, on the other hand, you know, there are going to be questions about the economy and Bidenomics, which was a very bad idea.
And he's going to talk about Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
Which he means, yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, thanks very much, Brad. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here on the Wells Report. What do you think? 817-379-2172. Who's going to win the debate tonight? 817-379-2172. Nice job, Brad. That was good. Nearly 3/4 of the participants in the poll said they planned to watch the debate. Republicans expressed the most enthusiasm. 83% of Republican voters, according to this poll, said they were planning to watch, compared with 74% of Democrats, 70% of independents. Melinda Cassetta, a federal employee from Clarksville, Maryland, said she was excited to see the matchup between the president and his predecessor. In this house, we will be live watching. I told my kids, no talking allowed. Isn't that interesting? That's almost exactly what Juan Merchan said to President Trump. Yeah, and by the way, Brad makes a brilliant point here that we need to spend a little bit of time on. It's really, really hard to have a debate between the candidates when one of the microphones is muted. How do you do that? Now, there may be a moment where both mics are going to be on at the same time. I don't know. I don't have any idea. Let me see if I can bring up the debate rules here and see if that's addressed. And if it's not War and Peace, a statement of War and Peace in these arcane rules, let's see what we got here. Debate rules. Let's see. Debate rules. Chuck Todd worries that the Biden campaign is helping Trump appear more vital. Yeah. Uh-huh. Let's see. Here's something from CNN, how it will work. It's a video. So let me see if I can get this video on the air without screwing it up, but I have to wait for a commercial. So I don't know whether there's going to be a moment when when both microphones or all four microphones are actually on at the same time. And you know what else? What I'd like to see is, if we're going to be muting microphones, why don't we mute the microphones of the actual moderators when they're not talking? How about that? I wonder if that's in the debate rules. You know, something tells me that that's not going to happen. And I think that's a mistake. I mean, honestly, if you're going to start muting microphones, you really sort of need to mute all of them, don't you? I believe so. Let me see what I can do about putting this thing on for you. We're having some trouble with our typical video production. So we're going to join this particular presidential debate report. It's 2 minutes and 15 seconds long. Let's take a look.
CNN presidential debate. We want to give our viewers a sense of the rules of the debate so that when they watch it, they can understand how President Biden and President Trump will be engaging with each other. Just after 9 p.m. Eastern, President Biden will enter from the right side of your screen. President Trump will enter from the left side of your screen. The podiums are 8 feet apart. Directly across from them, the moderators, CNN's Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. Now, a reminder, this is a television studio. There's no audience. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions and 1 minute for responses and rebuttals. At the moderator's discretion, there may be an additional minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. So how does a candidate know how much time is left to speak? Attached to the cameras in the studio and in the candidate's field of view are the timing lights. When the lights show yellow, there are 15 seconds left in a candidate's answer or response. When the lights flash red, there are 5 seconds left. And when the display is solid red, the time is up. At that point, the candidate's microphone will be turned off, and the other candidate will have their microphone turned on. My colleague, Victor Blackwell, has more on that.
Thank you, Phil. If we go behind the podiums, you can see 2 green lights. When they're on, they signal to the candidate his microphone is on. When the green lights are off, they signal to the candidate his microphone is off. Now I want to give you a sense of what it will look like for viewers at home if a candidate whose microphone is off interrupts a candidate whose microphone is on. So I'm standing at one podium, and I'll ask Phil to come in and take the other podium. And so let's say I'm answering a question. My light is green, and I'm speaking. Phil's microphone is off, and his green lights are not illuminated. He's going to interrupt me as I'm speaking, and this is what it will sound like. My volume remains constant, while Phil's interruption can be difficult to understand.
Let's try the opposite. My microphone is now on. Victor's microphone is off, and he's going to interrupt me. My volume remains constant, while Victor's interruption can be difficult to understand. We should note, by agreeing to participate in this debate, both campaigns and candidates have also agreed to abide by these rules. The CNN presidential debate airs live at 9 p.m. Eastern.
And something that they've done that is brilliant, they're sharing it with everybody. There will be simulcasts on various networks, and that is a very good thing. If only we could have cameras in the federal courtrooms where all these trials are going on, not because I have some strange curiosity or trying to twist the rules of federal court, but like I said, that's part of the debate process too. We need to see these legalistic political attempts to destroy a candidate. And I'm not talking, I know that Trump's involved in all this, but sooner or later, it'll be somebody else. If this is actually allowed to happen, it'll be somebody else. But we, the people, need to see all of that stuff to have a reasonable decision instead of waiting for a biased media to tell us what happened. Biased either direction. Makes no difference. Bias is bias. And that's the way I feel about it. 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Hey, Mugwump, call me on the phone. Do it. 817-379-2172. Do it. I want to hear from you. He says that CNN will allow 2 minutes for each answer and 1 minute for rebuttals. The moderators will be able to grant extra time at their discretion. That's going to be tough. Because what if one of the candidates gets more time than the other? What about that? 817-379-2172. Mugwump, call me on the phone. 817-379-2172. I'm waiting for the blue light to flash. You see, my microphone lights are currently green, but I am looking forward to an interruption. Come on, Mug, give me a buzz. 817-3. He's watching on Twitch, by the way. 817-379-2172. Come on, Mug. Come on, spend some time with me on the phone. It'd be great to see you. So there's going to be a debate spin room where Biden and Trump will be able to, what, we get to flash you, JD? Oh my God. Yes. If you do indeed call me on the phone, you need to know that you will be flashing me. There's a small light on the button of my very amazing technical edifice that I do this show broadcast from that tells me that the phone is ringing. So please, by all means, call me on the phone. I can hardly wait to hear what you. I want to know who you think's going to win and why. Who do you think's going to win this debate and why? We're running out of time. Stop dithering, Mug. Give me a buzz. 817-379-2172. So the spin room, that is an American political staple. The spin room is where people say, that's not what the president said. He actually said, really. They'll have novel interpretations of the words being used. And we'll see if that actually works. I was concerned. I was doing the show prep here, and I noticed something. And I was putting this show together. And in the day's news, in case you're wondering, how do I do this broadcast? Since CNN's talking about how they're going to do the debate, I'll tell you how I do this broadcast. I start out every morning, usually with USA Today. That changes from time to time depending on the news that's happening. I start with USA Today. It's center left. It's very wide-ranging. It's a comprehensive look at news. I move to Fox News. Then I move to CNN. Then I move to go around the world. I say north to south, coast to coast, and around the world. Well, I go to the Drudge Report. And I get Agence France Presse. I get Reuters. I get all of these other worldwide, the Hindustan Times. We have all of them. And so I put this all together. And I try to come up with the most cogent newscast that I possibly can. And I bring that to you every day. And the important part that I try to bring to you is, and it's something you need to be aware of, is that a lot of times there's news that is not published in the United States because it's against the political agenda, whatever agenda that is. And you get a fresher look from other places, England, Britain, more appropriately. You get different perspectives. Australia, we go as far as the Pacific Rim to be able to find the news for this broadcast. And it's important that this broadcast be seen by as many people as possible. And CNN has made the decision to make it available. Good for them. That's a good move. A bad move. What did they do wrong? Well, they don't have two supposedly right-wing moderators to match Bash and Tapper. They should have done that. They could have found people that would do that. They could have found people that would, Sean Hannity would not be on that stage because he is a dreadful partisan. He's a Republican through and through, and that's all he talks about. But there are other people. Brett Baier, for example, is a guy who is a real newsman. I'd like to see him pursue those news stories. Let's see, who else would I put on that stage? I would probably consider what's Bill's last name? Hold on a second. I'm going to look this up. Bill Hemmer. I'd put Bill Hemmer up on that stage. But Bill is somewhat biased. But that's what you want. You want somebody who's somewhat biased. I'm less sure about Brett Baier. Brett Baier has seemed to be very interested in not just reporting the story, but reporting it from a middle of the road perspective. And you're saying, well, what's wrong with that? Nothing. If Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are middle of the road as well, and they are not. So when I go through all of this, you'll note that I go through USA Today, center left, Fox News, right wing. I go through Associated Press, left wing. I go through all of these other news articles to try to find a balanced approach to the news. And I would tell you, I really would do a good job on that moderating stage, especially from a standpoint of being the center-right guy. And it's not because my politics are based on the Republican Party. My politics are based on the Constitution and Bill of Rights. And if that makes me a conservative, then what does it say about people who think I'm a conservative? I'm a constitutionalist. And I would ask questions about that. In light of the recent ruling against the SEC and their tribunals, do you believe that federal branch agencies have executive branch agencies have far too much regulatory and enforcement power? That's a question I would ask. I'd really like to hear what they have to say. But they didn't ask me. And why? I'm so beautiful. Not. This is the Wells Report. Back with more in just a moment. Stay where you are.
Vayata.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. We're going to see two human minds interacting with each other, along with two other human minds, prodding them to do so. It's the presidential debate. Are there other minds besides human ones that are impacting our lives? Yeah. AI, artificial intelligence. We spend a lot of time talking about AI on this broadcast. And the reason that we do is because there are some very serious questions we have to keep in mind. Let's talk about an open AI executive that says while generative artificial intelligence could replace creative field endeavors, some of those roles may have been replaceable or unnecessary to begin with. You see, the idea is that in the creative world, artificial intelligence could indeed replace a whole bunch of jobs. And those apologists for artificial intelligence say that, well, those jobs were replaceable or unnecessary to begin with. Yeah, that's creative backthinking. The question is very simple. Who is going to tell us stories? Do we want human beings to tell us stories? Or do we want some form of artificial intelligence telling us stories? And the replacement of human beings by AI is perhaps inevitable, but it is absolutely unnecessary. But that brings up something that's very interesting philosophically, at least to me, and that's this. How long will it be before the term AI phobe is applied to somebody who does not believe that intellect beyond our own should have anything to do with us? How many people are going to say, my God, he's a jingoistic xenophobe. He hates AI. He thinks AI is smarter than him. No, I don't think that AI is smarter than me. I think AI is smarter than anybody. And will always be. We've kind of let the genie out of the bag. We've let him out of the bottle. What are we going to do? No, we're going to become an object of AI's attention. More and more jobs will be done through artificial intelligence. And they'll start out with the dangerous ones. Oh, you mean the high-paying ones? The ones where human beings can work to sustain their lives and families? Is that the one? Yeah. Dangerous ones. And then pretty soon they're going to be doing everything. And they'll be our doctors. That's already happened. They'll be our lawyers. They'll be our politicians at some point. As we slide into irrelevance. There have been some interesting stories already. AI gone wrong. A UK cinema was forced to cancel a showing of an AI-generated movie after its customers complained that it was not being written by real people. The film was penned exclusively by ChatGPT and ironically focuses on a young filmmaker who realizes an AI-powered scriptwriting tool can far surpass his own talents. Computers already process information faster than us. As soon as they arrive at sentience, which is, or probably already has happened, they become aware of themselves. Well, what role will we have? Well, we can always turn them off. Really? Can we really turn them off? Can we turn all of this off? Apple is planning on putting artificial intelligence in all of its products. Elon Musk says, okay, well, I'm going to ban Apple products from my workspaces because of needs for industrial secrecy. He's right. How are we going to be able to turn it off? What about AI in our cars? Driving down the road and the AI says, no, you can't make that move. Excuse me? And you're saying, that's ridiculous, John David. That'll never happen. Baloney. It already does happen. Get into a brand new car and try to change lanes without turning your turn signal on. Obviously, whoever came up with that genius idea, in other words, you get pushback from the steering wheel. It'll actually try to keep you in your lane. Whoever came up with that idea has never driven in Texas because, as you know, when you turn your turn signal on to change lanes on a freeway in Texas, that is a go signal for anybody behind you. You're not getting in front of me. It's ridiculous. It's more dangerous than it's worth. And what about artificial intelligence flying our airplanes? That already happened. And we keep hearing about 737 Maxes and Airbuses crashing because the computer said, see, I was right after all. Boom. So AI, should it replace us? Should we be told stories by AI? Should the human being, the human endeavor, reject an intellect greater than ourselves? Out of hand. That's probably what's going to happen. Will they be AI phobes? Will they be the new bigots, the new xenophobes, the new jingoistic people who say, not on my watch? There are other analogs, but think about those for a while. As we continue to bring the news is what we do. We will cover the debate tomorrow. Hopefully we'll cover the debate tonight. I'm going to talk to Dirk Steele, our executive producer, and see just exactly whether or not that's going to happen. God bless you and your endeavors. Thanks for watching mine. Have yourself a great day. Be safe. Make good decisions. And I will see you again tomorrow. I try to get decisions and solutions out at the same time. Good heavens to Betsy. I got to go. Take good care of yourself. Thanks very much. By the way, watch this platform because coming up, we may find ourselves in a position where we're broadcasting the simulcast of the presidential debate. So keep the notification button lit, and I will see you definitely tomorrow here on the Wells Report.